Everything that irritates us about others can lead us to an understanding of ourselves. Carl Jung wrote that, but what he discovered about Americans who see everything will revolutionize how you understand social awareness. Look, we've all been there, sitting in a corporate meeting, family dinner, or neighborhood barbecue, and you just know something's off. Maybe it's the way your boss keeps checking his phone while talking about team unity, or how your sister-in-law's smile never quite reaches her eyes when she asks about your new promotion. You pick up on these signals that everyone else seems to miss completely. Carl Jung spent years studying what he called hyper-perceptive awareness, basically people whose social radar operates at a level that makes everyone else look socially blind. These aren't fortune tellers or mind readers. They're regular Americans whose brains have developed an almost scary ability to read people, predict outcomes, and spot BS from a mile away. Here's what makes this discovery dangerous. Jung realized these hyper-perceptive people often feel like they're going crazy because they see through everyone's act while living in a society built on polite fiction and comfortable lies. Think about the last time you had a gut feeling about someone at work, in your friend group, or even in your own family that everyone else thought was way off base, but you turned out to be absolutely right. Maybe you knew your friend's boyfriend was cheating before she did, or you could tell your coworker was planning to quit months before they gave notice. That wasn't luck. That was your brain processing information at a level most people never reach. The American story that started it all. Let me tell you about Rebecca, a 32-year-old marketing director from Chicago who walked into a therapist's office in 2019 not because she was falling apart, but because her family thought something was seriously wrong with her ability to read people like open books. Rebecca worked at a mid-sized advertising agency where she developed what her colleagues called an unfair advantage. She could walk into a client meeting and immediately sense who held the real power, which proposals would get shot down, and whether the client actually had budget or was just shopping around. It's like everyone else is watching a movie with the sound off, but I can hear every word of dialogue. When our CEO brings his wife to company events, I can see how she checks out mentally when he talks, how she scans the room for more interesting conversations, how she's already planning their divorce. But when I mention this stuff to people, they act like I'm being catty or negative. Rebecca's accuracy was unsettling. She'd predicted 3 office affairs before they became obvious, called out 2 embezzlement cases before the accountants caught them, and warned about employee departures months before resignations were submitted. Her hit rate was around 85–90%. But instead of being valued for this insight, Rebecca was increasingly isolated. People felt uncomfortable around her, like she could see through their professional personas to their real motivations and insecurities. If you've ever been told you're reading too much into things when your gut feelings later proved dead-on accurate, drop a comment, "I see what others miss." Why some Americans develop superhuman social intelligence. Modern research backs up what Jung intuited decades ago. Dr. Elaine Aron's work shows that about 20% of Americans have what's called sensory processing sensitivity. Basically, nervous systems that process information more deeply than average. But Rebecca represented something even more specific. Her brain had developed what cognitive scientists now call advanced social cognition. The ability to process micro-expressions, voice tonality, body language, and behavioral inconsistencies at superhuman speeds. Think about it. Americans are raised in a culture where being nice often matters more than being honest. We learn to smile when we're frustrated, say fine when we're not, and attend social events we'd rather skip. This creates a society where surface-level pleasantries mask deeper emotional realities. Some people's brains adapt to this by becoming incredibly sophisticated at reading between the lines. They developed what Rebecca called bullshit detection superpowers. The 3 stages of American social X-ray vision. Through working with people like Rebecca, patterns emerge in how hyper-perceptive awareness develops. Stage 1, uncomfortable intuition. You get weird feelings about people at work, family gatherings, or social events. Something feels off about your neighbor who always volunteers for everything, or that coworker who's constantly offering to help but somehow never follows through. You can't explain what bothers you, but the feeling persists. Stage 2, pattern recognition. You start connecting dots that others miss. You notice that people who talk the most about loyalty tend to be the first ones to throw you under the bus. You realize that family members who constantly post about family first on Facebook are often the ones stirring up the most drama behind the scenes. Stage 3, predictive accuracy. You can forecast relationship problems, workplace conflicts, and social drama with scary precision. You know which marriages in your friend group won't last, which startups will fail despite the hype, and which politicians are lying even when others find them convincing. Rebecca hit stage 3 after her divorce. She explained, "Going through that process forced me to confront how much I'd been ignoring my own perceptions. Once I started trusting what I was seeing, it was like putting on glasses for the first time. Suddenly, everyone's motivations and patterns were crystal clear."
The dark side of seeing too much. Jung identified specific challenges that hyper-perceptive Americans face in our culture of optimized social media personas and corporate team-building exercises. The Cassandra effect. You can see problems coming, toxic relationships, failing businesses, family conflicts, but no one wants to hear warnings that disrupt their positive thinking. Americans especially struggle with this because our culture emphasizes optimism and possibility over realistic assessment. Social isolation. Once you can see through everyone's LinkedIn profiles to their real career insecurities, through their Instagram stories to their actual relationship problems, and through their small talk to their genuine struggles, casual friendships become almost impossible. Analysis paralysis. When you can see multiple layers of motivation in every interaction, your boss's compliment that's actually positioning for a layoff, your friend's dinner invitation that's really an MLM pitch, your date's charm that masks emotional unavailability, making decisions about trust becomes incredibly complex. Rebecca experienced all of this. Dating became a nightmare, she said. I could tell within 20 minutes whether a guy was genuinely interested or just looking for attention, whether he was emotionally available or performing availability, whether his career stories were accurate or inflated. Most first dates felt like watching someone audition for a role rather than getting to know an actual person. The technique that changed everything. The breakthrough came when Rebecca learned what Jung called selective perception, the skill of consciously choosing when to engage her social X-ray vision and when to operate on surface level. This isn't about becoming naive or ignoring red flags. It's about strategic awareness. Rebecca learned to turn up the radar. In high-stakes situations like job interviews, major purchases, or new romantic relationships, she'd engage full perception to make informed decisions. Turn down the volume. During casual interactions like grocery store small talk or PTA meetings, she'd deliberately focus on surface-level pleasantries without analyzing deeper motivations. Create emotional boundaries. She learned to observe dysfunction without feeling responsible for fixing it, and to notice others' hidden struggles without absorbing their emotional states. As she reflected, she said, "I realized my gift wasn't meant to make me the social police. It was meant to help me navigate my own life more wisely." If you've learned to consciously dial down your perception in certain social situations to protect your mental health, comment, "I choose when to see." Advanced applications Rebecca mastered. Once Rebecca learned selective perception, she developed sophisticated applications. Corporate politics navigation. She could identify real decision makers versus figureheads, spot upcoming reorganizations before announcements, and avoid getting caught in political crossfire between departments. Authentic relationship building. By screening out people who were performing interest versus genuinely connecting, Rebecca built a smaller but much more satisfying social circle. Professional advantage. Her ability to read clients' real concerns beneath their stated objections made her the agency's top account manager. She could address unspoken issues that competitors never even noticed. The ethics Rebecca had to learn. Jung recognized that hyperperceptive abilities could easily become tools for judgment or manipulation. Rebecca had to develop ethical guidelines. Use insight for protection, not control. Her abilities helped her make better personal choices, not manipulate others' behavior. Respect others' privacy. Just because she could read someone's marriage problems didn't mean she should comment on them or share the information. Practice compassionate understanding. Most people's social masks developed as psychological protection. She learned to see the wounded child beneath the adult. This was especially important in American workplace culture, where Rebecca's insights could have easily been weaponized for office politics. The loneliness problem Jung identified. The hardest part of Rebecca's journey was what Jung called perceptual loneliness. The more clearly she could see people's real motivations, the harder it became to enjoy casual social interactions. It's like being the only sober person at a party where everyone's drunk on their own social performances. You can see how artificial it all is, but everyone else is having fun with the illusion. This is especially challenging in American culture where so much socializing revolves around shared activities, sports bars, dinner parties, networking events. When you can see that most people are performing enthusiasm rather than feeling it, these activities lose their appeal. Jung's solution was what he called conscious participation, choosing to respond to people's better intentions rather than their hidden agendas when appropriate. The support network Rebecca built. Rebecca discovered that hyperperceptive people naturally find each other. They recognize the signs. The person who asks follow-up questions when everyone else accepts surface-level answers, who notices when someone's smile doesn't match their energy, who can predict group dynamics before they play out. These connections become incredibly valuable because they're based on authentic recognition rather than social performance. Rebecca found 3 other hyperperceptive individuals through a book club, a professional networking group, and surprisingly, her yoga class. She said, "We don't have to pretend with each other. We can acknowledge that, yes, the host couple is fighting, even though they're being polite, and no, that business venture our friend is excited about isn't going to work out. It's such a relief to have people who see reality the same way I do." If you've attracted friends who also seem to see through social situations, comment, "I found my people." How Rebecca helps others now. Instead of feeling burdened by her perception, now she uses it strategically to help others when they ask. She's become the person friends come to when they need honest feedback about relationships, job opportunities, or major decisions. She's explained, "I've learned to frame my observations as questions rather than statements. Instead of saying, 'Your boyfriend is manipulative,' I'll ask, 'How do you feel when he dismisses your concerns?' People need to reach their own conclusions, but I can help them see patterns they might be missing." The cultural impact Jung predicted. Jung believed that as more Americans develop hyperperceptive abilities, our culture would gradually become more authentic. People would find it harder to maintain false personas when surrounded by others who could see through social performances. Rebecca has observed this in her own circles. She noticed people seem to drop their acts faster around me now. It's like they unconsciously sense that performance won't work, so they skip straight to being real. The conversations are so much better. Modern validation of Jung's discovery. Contemporary research supports Jung's observations about hyperperceptive Americans. Studies show some people can detect deception with up to 90% accuracy by reading micro-expressions. Research on thin-sliced judgments proves brief observations can predict relationship outcomes. Neuroscience reveals heightened activity in social cognition brain regions among highly sensitive individuals.
What Jung called dangerous wasn't the abilities themselves, but the revelation of how much American social interaction relies on polite fiction rather than authentic connection. Your development protocol. Based on Jung's framework, here's how you can consciously develop hyper-perceptive abilities. Week 1. Trust your gut. Start paying serious attention to your intuitive reactions to people and situations. Document when these feelings prove accurate versus when they don't. Week 2. Pattern recognition. Look for behavioral patterns that trigger your social radar. What specific cues does your brain unconsciously process? Week 3. Selective engagement. Practice choosing when to engage full social analysis versus when to operate on surface level. Learn when deep perception serves you and when it's unnecessary. Week 4. Ethical application. Use your insights for better personal decisions while avoiding judgment of others' authentic struggles beneath their social masks. The integration Rebecca achieved. After 3 years of conscious development, Rebecca transformed from someone burdened by her perception to someone empowered by it. She learned to use her abilities to build genuinely compatible professional relationships, avoid time-wasting romantic connections with emotionally unavailable people, navigate family dynamics with compassion rather than frustration, and help friends make better decisions when they specifically ask for insight. My perception isn't a curse anymore, Rebecca reflected. It's like having GPS for human relationships. I can see the traffic jams and construction zones ahead and choose better routes. Jung's dangerous discovery ultimately asks every American, are you ready to develop the full scope of your social perception, knowing this might forever change how you see the people in your work, family, and community? Advanced social awareness can't be undone. Once you learn to read beneath LinkedIn profiles and Instagram stories to people's real struggles and motivations, you can't return to unconscious social interaction. But Rebecca's transformation proves this gift leads not to cynicism, but to more authentic connections with genuinely compatible people. When you stop wasting time on relationships built on mutual performance, you free up energy for connections based on real compatibility and shared values. Your hyper-perceptive abilities aren't making you paranoid, negative, or antisocial. They're making you accurate in a culture that often rewards comfortable illusions over uncomfortable truths. Every time you sense hidden dynamics that others miss, you're demonstrating sophisticated psychological processing. Every gut feeling that proves correct is evidence of advanced social intelligence. Comment, I trust what I see, if you're ready to stop apologizing for seeing through social performances and start using your perception as the navigation system Jung knew it could become. Remember Rebecca's key insight. My hyperperception isn't isolating me from authentic people. It's helping me find them faster by filtering out the ones who are just performing compatibility. Your social X-ray vision isn't a burden. It's your superpower for building genuine relationships in a culture full of polite fiction. Jung proved that when you develop these abilities consciously and use them ethically, they become one of the most valuable psychological tools you can possess. The only question is, are you ready to trust what you've been seeing all along?